This is Will Feudeman. I'm a licensed acupuncturist and a social worker, and in this video I'm going to talk about children and children's emotional challenges. We all know children are amazing to be around. They are alive, they are growing fast, they are learning, and they are not easy to control. Children are who they are. They have such strong personalities from such an early age. When we send our children to schools and ask them to sit still, sometimes to sit in rows and pay attention to what the teacher is telling them to focus on, some children are able to do that pretty well. There are quite a number of children who have a very hard time with it. Sometimes these children get labeled. They have a label called ADHD, Attention Deficit Hyperactivity Disorder. And after you get that kind of a label, frequently these children are given drugs, stimulant medications. These are said to calm children down. The research that Robert Whitaker refers to in his book on psychiatric drugs, Anatomy of an Epidemic, indicates that over the short term, the first year or so after being given these drugs, seems to be helpful. Long term, over 3 years and more, children's inattention, hyperactivity, problems, antsiness in school tends to get worse. And that the longer children are on these stimulants, the more likely it is to lead to ongoing emotional problems later on. Now, I work some with children, but I'm not a specialist. I've come to know a pediatrician, Dr. Stephen Cowan, and Stephen has worked exclusively with children for several decades, and he has brought traditional Chinese medicine thinking and Chinese five-element thinking into how he approaches treating children, including ADHD. Now, Stephen contributed an essay to my book, Before Pharmaceuticals. And I want to read just a sentence or two for you from his chapter called Healing Emotions in Children. Stephen writes, "The explosive rise in the diagnosis of children with mental disorders over the past 20 years has led to significant overuse of strong psychopharmaceutical medications originally intended for adults and not FDA approved for pediatric use." Dr. Cowan concludes that there is a significant lack of long-term studies on the safety and efficacy of using adult psychiatric medications in children. And he makes the point that the intensity and vibrancy of changing behaviors is what makes children really fun to be around, and that a real problem in pathologizing children is that it's more important to think of what's emotionally healthy for this child rather than trying to give them a label. And he goes on to talk about resilience and how to develop resilience. It's not that we need to have children avoid having hard times. Children are going to get upset. They're going to be angry. They're going to be frustrated. But they can recover, and they can find ways to learn and move through challenges. When adults are prescribed psychiatric meds, they have the ability to make choices with their doctors about whether they want to continue using them. Children don't have the freedom to make those choices. The adults in their lives tell them what to do and to follow doctor's orders. So my thought in terms of what I've read from Whitaker, what I've learned from Stephen, and what I've seen in working with children myself is that it's important for us to use more creativity and more thoughtfulness in trying to help meet the needs of each child before we're going to be trying to solve a problem with a pill. If you'd like to read Dr. Cowan's essay on healing emotions in children in full, you can find it in my book, Before Pharmaceuticals. Information on how to get it is going to be posted at the end of this video.